Hello, I'm Phil Rude, and I'm an illustrator, comic book artist, and sometimes writer. Today, I've got a video of me inking a commission that I did a couple months ago. This one is for some D&D characters for some friends of mine, and it was a lot of fun to work on. I sometimes find D&D commissions a little intimidating because I don't play D&D, and it seems like its own subculture. So I'm always afraid that I don't understand how it all works, and therefore I will mess something up. But usually it turns out pretty good, and everyone is happy at the end of it. And I usually have quite a bit of fun designing these characters. So I guess I'm kind of making a big deal out of nothing. Materials for this one are pretty straightforward. Canson Bristol boards sized 17 by 11 inches. And a couple Kuretake brush pens and some fine liners. You'll also notice I did a good portion of the initial inking, at least, on my light box. I don't use a light box a lot, but when I need it, it's one of those things that's just really awesome to have. If you're starting out and you don't have a light box, I do recommend finding one, as they can be pretty handy. I don't use it for everything, but sometimes it's just a good tool for copying, a pattern that I need to use over and over again, or maybe I nailed a sketch and I want to sort of make sure I translate it exactly the way I have it. Anyway, if you check out Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace for affordable options, you'll usually find something there. This huge light box I'm using in this video cost me just $35 off of Facebook Marketplace. So you can find them pretty cheap if you keep an eye out. Sometimes there's not much out there, but eventually some hobbyist photographer or artist is got one laying around, and they just want to get rid of it. So keep an eye out for that. As for topics for today, I've been lazy about getting videos out, so I'm just going to play catch up with what has been going on lately. First up, in my personal life, I got some new wheels. My beloved 2001 Toyota Avalon has gone on its last drive as of a week ago. I'm not a big car guy, so I'm never really sentimental about such things, but my family and I have had that car for 20 years. It's a 25-year-old car. We've had it for 20 of those years, and we had it for 20 formative years. We took vacations in that car. My kids learned to drive in that car. That car brought home all of our cats, and it took both of our dogs on their last rides. It was my wife's daily driver for 6 or 7 years, and then mine for another 13 or 14. That car was really good to our family for a long time, and bizarrely, I am gonna miss it. It's more than likely the last car I'll own that has a stock tape deck in it. Yeah, that's how old it is. 250,000 miles on it. We put the lion's share of those miles on. Spent a lot of time in that car. Thank you for your service, Toyota Avalon. The Millennium Falcon, I sometimes refer to it as. Very beat up, very rugged, but it got me where I was going, always did the job. It took its last ride. We got some new wheels for my wife, and I took my wife's previous car. So everybody levels up. On comic front, I tabled a couple weeks ago at Charlie's Summerfest in Fort Myers. Charlie's is a local area brand of conventions here in Southwest Florida. And Charlie puts on a few cons a year. Sometimes they're themed general comic cons, more pop culture fare. I think today, actually, as I'm recording this, he has a Pokemon branded convention going on. Pretty cool that he just keeps a lot of the convention scene in our local area going. This is my first time tabling at one of his shows, and overall, I had a good time. Traffic and sales were a little bit slower than I would have liked. Partly due we had some weird weather. I think kept a lot of people in. You can't drag people in. It's what it is. So it was a little bit disappointing, but in general, I had a lot of fun. My table neighbor was Damon Hall, a local, very multi-talented artist. I've done a few shows with him now. I've done a couple market events at Lost World Books a while back, which is where I met him. And then we did the con at the arcade a couple months ago, down locally here too. And Damon's a good hang. Damon is a solid guy and super talented, does all kinds of great digital prints, digital artwork prints. And then he does actual 3D printing. He does some sort of sculpted, textured pieces that are really cool. Damon does all kinds of stuff. He does it all really well. And I'm always really sort of amazed. He always seems to be working on something new. It's kind of amazing to me. Anyway, Damon's a good, like I said, he's a good hang. We had a good time that day. And it's always like cool to have like a good neighbor that you know a little bit. And that way, if you got to step out, you got to grab something to eat, you got to hit the bathroom, or you want to just, stretch your legs. Someone's watching your table who is not just you can trust. Everybody tabling there is really cool in that way. But, if someone comes by, they're going to, kind of cover for you a little bit. And he and I sort of have done that for each other at a couple of shows. It's really cool. I also got to see the wonderful Dean. Sarah Dean is a local artist and a graphic designer. I met her a few months ago at the con at the arcade as well. And she does just some delightful work. She has a new publication this time. She put out the first comic she ever made into print. And I always enjoy talking with Dean because I was also trained as a graphic designer as she was as well. And so we can talk shop about the specifics of that field, as well as, talking shop about general art, comics, publishing, the tabling that we're doing. Like Damon, she's just a delightful person who's doing really cool work that I really respect what she's doing. And I'm always glad to see her at the few shows I've been to. It's really cool to hang with her a little bit and get some of her new work. It was really great. This was also the first show that I brought my newest comic, Stardust and Feathers and Hats, and I was pleasantly surprised that I sold a few more copies than I generally expected. I get a lot of satisfaction when I make something for a purely personal reason or experimentation, and I don't really have the expectation that this will be like some sort of like, oh, everybody will love this. But some people will pick it up and they can see and appreciate what I was doing or what I was trying to do enough to say, I want to have this and read this. And I get a lot of satisfaction from that. I also took more original art to this show. I found a cool way to display it is in a large binder. And even though I didn't sell any pieces, it did get a lot of attention. It was really cool to see people who love seeing the art go through it, as well as other people who have maybe never seen original pages. They looked at them, and you can see them starting to figure out kind of how the process works. It's really cool. I loved having the book on the table. I could kind of show people like, hey, this page in this book, you're looking at the original right there. And, they could kind of, sometimes they would ask questions and sort of get to know a little bit about making comics and how I do it. And it was just kind of a cool artifact to have on the table. If you don't do this, you don't have to drag all of your original art to a show, but it is kind of cool. It's a cool conversation piece to put out there. Moving back a little from there, July 10th marked 5 years of the podcast I do with my son. That is The Picture Show with Austin and Phil Rude. And we celebrated by breaking the hiatus we've been on to cover a sequel to one of the first movies we ever watched on our show, We watched The Old Guard 2. Spoiler alert, we did not care for the movie very much, but still, we did what we do, and we took a lot of tangents, and we had a lot of great conversations. It's tougher to get together and record lately, life being what it is. But I'm really glad we took the time to do this. It was a milestone year, 5 years of our podcast, which admittedly is not the most consistent as of lately, but it was cool to put out an episode again. And mostly it was great to just take a few hours out of my day and watch a movie with Austin and talk about it on nerdy levels that he and I have always done that. That is the basis of our podcast. That is what we did for years and years before we had a podcast. And it is, the core element of what I love about doing the podcast with him is that right there. Finally, before I close out here, I want to give an update about the Creative Island. As I mentioned in earlier episodes here, most notably my Creative Island talk with Heather Welch, I have an ongoing graphic novel project that I've worked on over the past 3 years now, off and on, of course, whose first and foremost audience is me. I finished initial art for this book a while back, but the process of doing this has taken me so far off script that I had to amend a lot of things as I went with notes, thumbnail sketches, scribblings, whatever. And I still had to stitch it all together, which I finally have done. In the past few months, I have amended the script and then jumped into doing the lettering on the entire book, which I am happy to say I finished earlier this week. This does not, by any means, finish the project. I still have to review the entire book as a whole, make sure it flows in a way that is to my liking. I will likely make some small changes to the lettering and the dialogue, and I may even draw some more pages. And part of that is just because I love drawing pages for this book. As I said in me and Heather's Creative Island conversation, I don't know if I'll ever actually be done with this project because just honestly, I love drawing pages for it. I've spoken about other parts of the process, coloring. This is a black and white book, so I don't worry about that. But lettering and things like that, I just don't enjoy that as much. I love drawing comic pages in general. And for this book lets me cut loose and explore a lot of ideas, which is generally what I'm doing with this graphic novel. So I don't know. In theory, I've got a frame nailed down. I may draw 100 more pages of this, or I may come to a point where I just say this is good. Let's close it out. I'm not sure yet. But anyway, that's an update. The project will be done when it is done, not a second before. Which is what I was trying to say in many more words. But in the meantime, this is a milestone, and I do appreciate hitting milestones like that. That's going to do it for me this time. Please subscribe to my channel so you never miss a video. And go to philrootart.com and see what I've got going on over there. These videos live on my blog as well, but I also do a few more blog entry, without video, just sort of updates here and there. So you can subscribe to that over there and you will get them sent straight into your inbox.